Film leaders are the beginnings and the ends of film reels. They're the part of the film that the audience usually doesn't see at all. Film leaders go back to the earliest days of cinema, and they are there for several reasons. The most obvious of which is to protect the film on the reel, to help the film be guided through the projector. But over the years and with the development of standards, they've collected an awful lot of information, what I would call the metadata of film. The earliest written standards for leaders go back to the Society for Motion Picture Engineers. This is the one called the Academy Leader. The Academy Leader was the first standard which really referred to specific standardized kinds of information that were to be put onto the leader. The most obvious one of which that most people know is the countdown numbers from 11 to 3 to cue in the film. Following on from that leader is the Society Leader, which comes from the 1950s, which is the one that I'm really kind of crazy about. A much more sophisticated leader in terms of the content that's supposed to be on the leader, and sound cues for 35mm and 16mm sound. And it wasn't that popular, and because of that, there was the Universal Leader, the one you sometimes see reproduced on record covers and on bumpers on HBO and things like that. And it's a countdown from 8 till 2. This is the one with the clock sweep on it for each of the numbers as they go by. My project is called Lost Leaders, and I mean lost in several senses. So they're lost because we don't see them, generally. They're lost because they're being lost from archival collections, because people just aren't thinking about them. We've seen a massive shift just in the last 10 to 15 years from analog projection to digital projection. So I think they're also lost to history. And that's part of what I'm trying to do through the work. And I've tried various kinds of creative processes to work with the leaders, and what I hope that people will be able to take away from it is get a very rich sense of that history, albeit through a creative, interpretive kind of lens. I think it's quite possible to think about leaders in an artful way, and that's my ambition, I think, with some of this work, is to draw attention to leaders, the importance of them historically, give audiences the opportunity to see this really beautiful craft that's been going on behind the scenes, as it were, for decades since the beginning of film. I've been sifting through hundreds and hundreds of photographs that I've taken in archival collections, and it's quite extraordinary that, as anonymous as they seem, they have character to them. There's a lot of handwriting on leaders, and the more you look at, you actually start to recognize certain kinds of handwriting. You recognize the anonymous personalities that were behind these things when they went through the labs during processing and printing. And I think that's a really interesting part of the process, is that it reminds you that there is a human touch, there's a human element in there always. I think it's enormously important for our sense of what film really is and what it has been.